Hold on for a second. What's up, YouTube family? I would like you guys to make sure you like and subscribe to our video. It would help us get into the algorithms so we could be seen and bring more engaging content to you guys. So like I said, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Appreciate you. And welcome to another edition of the Pick and Dimes podcast. I'm your host, per usual, Sean Tyson, here with Zhu and Peepush. How you guys doing?
I'm doing well, man. Been enjoying watching the cardiac bulls, just absolutely playing with my heartstrings. Once again, Zhu, back in that middling category, playing tournament.
Yep.
Maybe they could get an upset, but that's really all we got to watch right now on the Chicago front, other than baseball season. But man, it's been a bit of a chalky tournament, man. It's just, I guess we got to shout out the committee. They sure knew their number.
Oh, they did their job.
They did their job. I personally like to see a couple more upsets, at least one, Cinderella, for lack of a better term, involved. But hey, man, we're gonna get some good basketball in this Final Four and championship. So I'm not too mad at it, even though my bracket ain't looking that great. So all about the fun, man.
All I gotta say is, dang, Florida was the pick that had an opportunity to get knocked off multiple games, but they were just able to pull it out. Shout out to Clayton, because that dude, some of those plays straight up looked like one of those plays looked like a Steph Curry. He just runs to the 3-point line, just absolutely chucks it. Like, this guy is built strong. He hits big threes. Like that Texas Tech game, I was like, holy moly, like Jesus Christ. I
was sweating, man.
Like they should have lost that game. We saw a lot of games where the underdog goes up by 10 to 12 points, and they just couldn't close the deal and had teams coming back. Yeah, it's a tournament. We're seeing one seeds dominate. This is the first time since I think 2000, like the Tyler Hansbrough, 2007, right?
2008.
The D-Rose, man.
Yeah,
D-Rose or 9. Somewhere.
So this is a long time. But this like 4 1 seeds. That's kind of historic, even though you think about it, the 1 seeds should get it done, but they were able to squeeze by, and I would have to say most of the other 1 seeds outside of Florida didn't really have that much trouble. Didn't have that much trouble.
Except
Duke was never a doubt.
No.
Houston, Loki was never a doubt either. Auburn, they had one little close game, the Sweet 16, but they were pretty dominant too. So, outside of Florida having some close games, was pretty dominant by these 1 seeds in this tournament.
Not Houston. Purdue should have won that game.
Oh, yeah, you're right. They did blow that.
Is that the inbound play?
That missed offensive foul by he just
push off
on Braden's. I know you don't make that call at the end of the game, but it was very obvious, and that would have swung it. But
yeah, I agree. Houston, the Purdue game, I kind of went into thinking I didn't know what Purdue was going to be like, and they fought. And shout out to Kelvin Sampson for that inbound play. You don't see that a lot. That was gutsy doing that. Because I always think when I kept watching it, I kept thinking to myself, you got your presence of mind, and where you are on the court, you have to make sure you're inbounds, because just naturally you could want to be in a jumping, running motion, so your foot could still be on the baseline. So the fact that they were able to execute that was pretty cool. But I'm not gonna lie, I was shocked, even though I had Houston in the Final Four. I was shocked that they just dominated Tennessee like they did. They just ran roughshod over them. Especially after watching Tennessee, what they did to Kentucky. I was like, I thought that would be a closer game, but yeah, like I said, we got 4 number 1 seeds, and I'm not going to be the guy who jumps on the bandwagon and says the Cinderellas are done, but I think the Cinderellas are going to dwindle as we keep going on to this. With NIL becoming bigger, with the house settlement, it's going to be tougher for a lot of these. We just saw and this is a side note with college basketball news, but we just saw the head coach of Maryland go to Villanova. And one would think oh, Villanova, yes, they've won championships, they have prestige, but it's still Maryland, who's a Big Ten school who has money. Could they not get close to Villanova? But as we're seeing, Villanova's all in. They don't have football. Maryland has football. Maryland has they did make it obvious to Kevin, hey, we're focusing on football. So you're going to have resources, but you're not going to have resources like you would at Villanova. So he leaves there. So I think just the shift of power with all this stuff and the money changing, all these teams we saw that were in the round of 32, 64, maybe Sweet 16 that were Cinderella types, their best players are going to be on some of these teams that we see in the Final Four. They're just going to get a bigger bag. They're going to have money to pay. And I don't want to say that's disappointing, but it's just kind of where we are now. So unless maybe there's a guy that's junior or senior that has the progression, and he gets on like an Iona or St. Peter's, maybe there's a chance. But a lot of those guys are gonna get snatched up and take to the big program. So, like we all saw this past weekend, or these last couple of weekends, got the 4 number 1 seeds. Duke, Houston, Florida, and Auburn. I guess we can start off with Auburn and Florida. Peebush, what are your thoughts on that game, and who you think you could see maybe advancing?
Speaking on Auburn, I know I said last week that I thought they were the most vulnerable 1 seed. I think it was more of I think they were one of the biggest beneficiaries of the side of their bracket for sure. I mean, they got to go through 2 Big Ten teams that I liked Michigan State. I thought they actually fought harder than I thought they would against Auburn. Had a huge win against Ole Miss. That was a great game at the end there too, that they closed that one out. That's just experience and coaching right there, difference makers. But the thing with this Auburn team, man, it's Johnny Broom or die. I mean, it just is. I know you like Pettiford, Sean, and he's coming.
I love Pettiford, man. He's a dog.
He's a dog, but he's a guy that is probably going to just be more pivotal to this team next year, and maybe a third year, depending on how his sophomore year goes. But this team is Broom or die, and you're talking about Broom, who had that scary fall where he looked like he hyperextended his knee and like broke his elbow in the same play. I know he came back into the game at the end and did make a couple big buckets against Michigan State, but he's missing practice all this week. They already decided he's not practicing until at least Thursday. Obviously, the games are on Saturday. If he's not 100%, their guards are decent. I already said Pettiford. What's the other guy they got? Baker Mazzara. I mean, those guys are very streaky. They combined for 6 for 20 in the last game against Michigan State. I'm going to go with the team with the guard who's running this tournament right now. Will Clayton is the number 1 offensive player, in my opinion, in this tournament. I know Broom's putting up the double-doubles, but if you rely on somebody to get you the ball, I know he can hit a 3 here and there, but it ain't pretty, man. It's like watching Julius Randle shoot a 3. You're just praying it goes in. He happened to go 2 for 2 in the Elite 8 game. There are games where he's going to go 0 for 2. So, his game is beautiful for college, but I'm going to take the guy that looks more well-rounded for a future in the NBA, and that's Will Clayton Jr., man. He's just been an absolute menace. I really like how this coach just kind of lets them play freely. He believes in this team. And let's be honest, I think the shock for me in that Texas Tech game was Florida was supposed to get manhandled on the boards. They were supposed to get manhandled. They out-rebounded Texas Tech by 10 boards and only got out-rebounded offensively by 3. For a smaller team, Condon's all right, as a rebounder. But
he's tall.
He's tall. But he can also move, which is huge, and I do think that's going to be big against Broom. But, man, I just like the guard play. I need the consistent guard play. Give me the guy that's going to hit a big shot at the end of the game. I'm sorry, but that's Will Clayton over Johnny Broom.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like right now, I remember when we were talking about Auburn at the beginning of the tournament, I just thought they were in a weaker region. And they were in a weaker region. I was not a big Michigan State guy, even though they played pretty well, but they got it done at the end. But this Florida team is really, really interesting because outplaying expectations, and as you mentioned, is that prime guard run, man. This is the classic guard run, hitting big shots in big moments where the rest of the roster, I'm just not that impressed with the rest of the roster. I'm just not that impressed. And if you're looking at this guy, this guy's putting up 22 points in the tournament on 46% shooting and shooting 45 from 3. 45 from 3 at a clip. 7.8 3-point attempts. So this is straight up NBA range, shooting NBA range and efficiency. This guy is putting up ridiculous numbers for a college basketball team where these aren't joke games. Because even the game, UConn, obviously that was a big time game, but the game against Texas, they were dead. They were absolutely dead. I was like, yo, this upset for all those people that picked the Gators, man. They're gonna screw their brackets over. Nah. This guy had a lot more in the tank, and I'm just like, man, me, I like seeing the Goliaths take care of business. This is the one year I was like, man, give me some more upset. Just give me a couple.
Very chalky.
It was very, very chalky. If you went all 4 1 seeds in your Final Four, you're sitting pretty right now. Your bracket's in the top 90%. If you just went straight chalk at all, you're doing quite well this tournament, especially with the lack of upsets. Even in the beginning of the tournament, too, not too many this year. But for me personally, like, yeah, Walter Clayton Jr. is a guy that really, really impressed me in this tournament. And for me, that is the reason the Gators was, man, 34-4. Like this is an unbelievable season. One of their best seasons of all time, outside of obviously the Joakim Noah, Al Horford, Corey Brewer years, or that mini dynasty that they had when they went back to back. So shout out to the Gators of building this program back up, because like who knew the Gators going to be in the Final Four? Like the Final Four right now, and they're poised to make a championship run right now. And for me, like, not gonna lie, I do. In one of my work league, I got a little cute with the little Auburn bracket, just to hedge just for a little hedge. It's actually looking kind of nice, but I don't really believe in this Auburn. Like I'm like just even if they move on, like I just can't imagine them winning a championship, man. I just can't imagine them winning a championship. So for me, like this Clayton guy is on that tournament run that we've seen time after time after time. So I'm going to ride with the Gators in this one, but Vegas got this as a close game, 2.5-point spread. So they're
they do.
Kind of like this is kind of like an even game. So I feel like Vegas is not entirely sure who's going to win this game right now, but we'll see. But Florida is a team that has responded to adversity. So I like seeing that when you make a run. So too many blowouts for a team's not good. Like I like seeing you have to make a comeback, because that's when you really show that mental toughness. And Florida's definitely shown that this year.
Yeah. Clayton is okay. So I'm trying to remember which 3 it was when they played against. It's whatever the one where I think it's been the highlight reel, where he was like basically dribbling backwards and was like looking.
Yeah, he just runs out. He just runs outside.
It was like, with that movement, because I know everybody wants to compare him. Anytime there's a shooter, they compare him to Steph. But you know who he kind of looked like when he was doing that? Jamal Murray.
Oh, they got the same body type.
Yeah, and like Jamal Murray is the king of. He is the king of, like. Of course, he's like a movement shooter, but you know, like if you've ever seen Jamal Murray, he'll like drive and like probe, and then it looks like he's just looking around, and then he could just he's never centered, he's never like set, he's always just like moving around and just shoots, and it just goes in. He's very quick in his movement. I was like, that like Jamal Murray a little bit. So I was like, that will play, I think, in the league. I'm very interested to see. I know he's 6'3", but he's going to be drafted later. But if he gets with the right team, I just like his scoring moves, because he could be a spark. Like, I mean, I don't know. It might be a little bit better than Gabe Vincent.
I'm just saying, but the transition to the league is difficult. So, I mean, I could see him starting out. It is.
But I also think, too, like, his confidence is what I think kind of separates. Gabe Vincent was definitely like I don't know if he was even drafted, but he kind of built his way, and he was very fortunate going back to Fit that he went with Miami, which is Heat culture. He was able to grow, and they allowed him to do whatever to become a better player. But so in this tournament, if I heard correctly, he's shooting 45% from 3, which is insane. I just looked up his stats during the regular season. It looked like it said he was 38% from 3. I'm not one of those persons with there's 2 games left, there's going to be a regression to the mean. But I'm looking at how they played earlier this year. Florida did beat Auburn at Auburn. I think it was like 90-81. And the usual suspects, I mean, Condon was the second leading scorer. Walter Clayton Jr. was the leading scorer. And then for Auburn, it was, of course, Broome and Miles Kelly. But Pettiford had like 14. I think with Florida, even though they're number 1 seed, they haven't looked as impressive. Like, to me, Auburn's last game against Michigan State, it just stayed. I know Broome got hurt, but they kind of just was dominating a little bit. And I feel like even though I will agree their side of the region was weaker, I think Florida, Texas Tech choked that game away. Florida, I know, came back, but Texas Tech had a pretty decent lead, and just, I don't know what they were doing. They just
Florida did
succumb to the pressure of the Clayton went off too, but it's just like Texas Tech. It wasn't like Texas Tech was only beaten by like 2 or 3, and then it was a tight game that Florida pulled away. It's like, no, Texas Tech should have won the game. So they've had a couple of chances in this tournament. I feel like they could have went another way. Clayton Jr. is the X factor, so it's really hard for me to pick against them. But it's like, I do think Broome and I don't know how old Florida is, but another thing that people are not really talking about is, have you really looked at Auburn's like starting five, like their age? They're all grown ass men, dude. Like they're 23, 22, 24. Yeah. So it's kind of like maybe that factors in with this rock fight. You know, this opponent, it's a neutral floor. If Clayton is not starting off, because honestly, Condon, I like him, but I mean, to me, it feels like it's Clayton or bust for them. And I think with Auburn, like Kelly, what's the other guy? He's like a forward.
Baker, Missouri.
I think it's Chad Baker, Missouri. Yeah, like he's kind of a swing piece. I like him. He's not going to be averaging 20, but and like I said, maybe it's just my bias with Pettiford. I just like the energy he brings. I just like it, and I think Auburn has a little bit more ways to attack you, and I do think that this game will be close. I do agree with Vegas. I know Florida has the edge, but I'm not mad at Auburn because I do think, and we can go into the next game. I'm picking Duke because Duke is just insane, but Auburn played them very, very well at Duke. Like they could have won that game at Duke. Now, everybody talks about beginning of the season. It's like everybody's feeling each other out, trying to figure it out. But Auburn played them very well. So I have a little bit of a slant towards Auburn in that game against Florida. And I don't know. I just think Auburn has a couple more ways to beat you. And I don't know. I like him a little bit more because Clayton, he is going insane, and it might just be he's riding this wave of just he's going to be hot into the end of the tournament, which could end up with them winning the championship. But 45% from three, that is like, and two is another factor that people don't ever think about. I think where's the Final Four this year? I'm trying to remember. Is it? It's not San Antonio, is it?
It's in San Antonio. It's in San Antonio.
No, it's San Antonio.
People always bring up this factor. The shooting in those dome arenas are always a little off and wonky. So sometimes people go in there and they shoot just fine, and it's a shooter's gym for them. And then some people get messed up by the background. So that could come into a factor of maybe he shoots 40% and not 45, and maybe that's a determining factor with all the close games they've had that they might lose the game. So I'm gonna give the slight edge to Auburn, but it really is a pick 'em because if you look at the game they played in the regular season, that was a back and forth event. So I'm not super confident, but I got a little bit of a bias. Bruce Pearl gives me that. Who's the head coach for what's the dude? The freaky dude? The head coach for Florida? What's his name? I forgot.
Urban Meyer.
No. Speak of Florida and their freaky coaches, they have a list of them. So, because if you want to go down the list, like obviously this year, I can't remember this guy's name, whatever his name is, this year's coach, Urban Meyer and all his transgressions. And if you know anything about like the guy that was their football guy that was after Urban Meyer, it wasn't Dan Mullen, it was I can't remember his name, but he was like pictured. I don't know if you guys saw the video of he was on a boat, like it was, I guess. Like fake, but alleged, but it was him like holding a shark like butt naked. It looked crazy. It looked like him. It was like an insane, and it was running around. It was literally running around social media. I'll look up the name as you talk about the other guys, but like Florida's had some weird coaches. And the thing is, a reporter asked him about it. He kind of just didn't acknowledge it, and it was just like, wait, so is it true? Like, what is it? So it's just weird. But yeah, Florida's had their transgression. So I'm not saying that's the reason why I'm not picking them, but. 45 is insane. Like, how do you almost 5% from like 50, almost shooting 50% from three? Come on,
he's almost out shooting his normal field goal percentage from three.
That's just you're unconscious. That's just no.
That's Kyle Korver.
That knows you. Yeah, and it's Kyle Korver with a dribble, like an elite. I'm gonna say elite, great dribble.
Well, let me say this though, man. There was one guard in this tournament that everyone was really hyped about, man. And he just absolutely flopped. Mark Sears, man. Pulled his RJ Lewis impression.
Yeah, he got
John's 2.0, man.
Up.
That was the matchup, man. I'm telling you, it was the matchup.
Yeah.
Going against those trees. I faded the minute I saw Duke, man. Cash out the future. I can't. I cashed out. I tapped out. I watched too much Duke just to see if they're the real deal.
Smart.
They ain't just a brand name. They lived up to the hype on paper
and
on my TV. So after watching those trees down there, I'm like, okay, it's little baby mouse. I'm gonna tap out this bet because
I know they got manhandled by 20 points, 19, 20
yeah,
points. It was not a game, but the only way that Alabama was going to be in it is if they shot well from three, and I think they shot some.
They unloaded their clip. They unloaded their clip the game against BYU. I've never seen more hot shooting in my entire life.
And that's the thing is
49% from three.
BYU almost,
just think about that. 49%.
And BYU almost and stuck with them. That's why when we were talking about that game,
BYU actually did play pretty well, but their game plan with Alabama and the amount of threes even a lot of them were contested and like pretty tough threes that they were hitting. So
Yeah.
I don't even blame BYU's defense that much, but they were just shooting lights out.
But the thing is, you watch literally pretty much a mirror of the two games. I mean, Duke taking down Bama, they just absolutely shut them down. Houston, same thing to Tennessee. The defense in these games, Houston might actually be the best matchup if you're rooting against Duke. I think that they match up the best with Duke for their size. Even their guard play is not as big as Duke, but I think they can still hold their own. But at every single position, it's like going from a B+ to an A+, man. So it's like they're just like the target version of Duke. That's what and it's unfortunate because Kelvin Sampson, if there's a coach that has, I know he had his whole Indiana scandal back in 2008 with Eric Gordon and all that, but he's been a coach who's kind of been due for about 10 years. He's been a great coach at Indiana. I think he was at Oklahoma, also with, and then obviously with Houston. But he just can't get over that hump. Maybe he has to leave the Big 12 and join the SEC. I don't know what he's got to do if they end up doing another expansion. But I just can't pick the Houston Cougars here, even though I do think they could give them a run for their money. It's just what impressed me, Zoo. Cooper Flag, 6 for 16, and it didn't even matter. Didn't even matter. So I'm going with Duke, man. Easy.
Absolutely. Like watching Duke in this tournament, and especially that Arizona game really impressed me because Arizona was
played him better.
Absolutely balling. Like Arizona Wildcats, they pushed Duke to the limits because shout out to Caleb Love. Because I remember we were talking about Caleb Love needs
40.
He needs 40. He got 35, so he needed a couple more points. He needed a couple more.
He would have gotten 40.
Dude, he was absolutely lights out in this game. Like some of those threes they were contested threes, just straight up pull-up threes with hand in the face, dribbling, ball handling, controlling the pace of the game. He was absolutely phenomenal. But in that game, Cooper Flag really showed me why this guy's the consensus #1 overall pick because he showed that he got guard skills. Like he does. Like they got a guy in Tyrese Proctor, Zion James. Cooper Flag was bringing the ball up in that game. Like they're like, nah. We're gonna get Cooper Flag to pull the ball up and initiate the offense. It wasn't like he was just dribbling up and jacking the shot. He was running pick and roll with Malawak and throwing lobs to them. Yeah, it's very like I would say like Draymond-esque, where he's like a point forward in that, especially in that Arizona game where they were definitely getting pushed. Like Cooper Flag, like he's not really a high volume guy. This dude shot 19 shots, man. 19 shots. He shot 10 free throws. So this dude was ultra aggressive in this game relative to other, because I feel like the other games, like he's kind of just chilling. Like his team is so good. It's Arizona team, especially that first half. I was like, oh, this is a really, really competitive game. And then, man, we're just saying this. Cooper Flag is a 6'9" forward, 7 assists in that game. 7 assists.
4+ assists.
Yeah. 3 blocks and a steal. This dude is a defensive menace. And he hit 3 threes, which is not his strength in his game, but he's developed that 3-point shot, which at the next level he'll definitely need. But in that one game, I was like, wow, this guy is just I think he's an absolute, like his IQ is off the charts. Like that's one thing. Like his passing for like a big forward, like this guy has like a guard mind, which I love to see in my bigs. That is a high skill big. This guy's got the passing. He's got the defense. Like he's not a defensive liability. He can shoot the ball. Like that's still developing, but I feel like his form could progress and become a better shooter. But that game, I'm like, you got Cooper Flag, consistent #1 overall pick. You got the 7'2" guy just manning the paint down low. You got Canepo out there looking like Mike Dunleavy Jr. jacking up. like Proctor, Zion James, the guards. Like actually, I don't really like the guards there. Like Zion James is a corner 3-point shooter. Like he's a good 3-point shooter. Proctor, I'm not too impressed. He's just another shooter out there, but that team is just absolutely loaded with their size. And with Cooper Flag leading this team, like my only thing I was nervous about was the injury coming in. No problem at all. Cooper Flag looks 100%. Like they look locked and loaded to get it done, and they should get it done because like that. Like this team's just too talented. It's too talented. And Houston, Tennessee, that butt whooping against Tennessee, I did not see. I was flabbergasted. I was like, I did not understand what was going on in that game where they made Tennessee's offense look in just an absolute train wreck.
JV-esque.
Yeah, it's just I'm like shooting like 20% from the field. Like this is unwatchable. This is absolutely unwatchable.
Dude, I think you could have performed better.
Yeah, seriously, they burned all my brackets with like trying to go with like a Contrarian Tennessee pick. What a sucker on me, man. Should have just went chalk.
Well, Kentucky sucked too.
Yeah, I was like Kentucky suck and then Tennessee suck and then Houston is the victor out of them. They took care of business, but their reward is the Duke Blue Devils, a team that's bigger than them, is stronger, that's faster than them, and that's just better than them. So Duke, 5.5. Give me the cover, the spread.
Yeah, the cover. Yeah.
The thing with Duke and Houston, this matchup, and I absolutely love Houston. And that Tennessee game was like how I envisioned Houston doing most of the tournament, just suffocating you on defense and then scoring with their guards. But the thing about Houston is they are really good defensively, and so is Duke. The thing is, I think they can match them intensity-wise on defense. It's going to be who the hell on Houston is going to be able to get their shots off with all of those big old wings, big old guards, and big old big men. Like, it's just impossible. I don't think it's going to be I don't want to say they can't score, but it's the same thing that I thought about with Baylor. It's the same thing I thought about with Arizona. It's like, yeah, Caleb Love went off. But it's like, obviously, you needed to have two guys like Caleb Love to just even make it a competitive game. And it feels like with Duke, what happens, at least in the last 2 games I watched with them, is they make you feel like you can play with them for a half. And then the second half comes, they just put pedal to the metal every time. So it kind of just feels like Duke is playing at their own pace. Like we've talked about a million times, their position, they're just – every position is – I don't want to say it's the prototype, but it's just kind of like what you want in an NBA team. And it just happens to be in college basketball. And like I said, I just think Houston's going to be able to match them defensively. Duke's going to be there too. But, there will be times where like Cooper didn't have it really that much last game, but it would be times where like Cooper's driving and it looks like he has nowhere to go and he can't make a move. And at the last minute, he just throws it to the corner and Connect just hits a corner 3. Yep. Or it's like Zion James can hit a pull-up 3. Or regardless of either one who's taking a shot, if they miss it, the guy in the middle is just going to swipe it, get off as a right rebound. And his backup, which I can't remember. They say he's from Virginia, but his backup is about 6'11" too. Shout out to John Shire. Like, he is built this. I don't know, depending on how they do in the tournament and if they win it, this might go down as one of the more just complete Duke teams in terms of everything you want in a basketball team. They just have everything covered. I don't know what their true weakness is. Like, the only thing you can maybe talk about is early in the season was like their experience, but it doesn't really matter.
Their weakness, Sean, is the fact that Cooper Flag is one and done.
Yeah, that's it. And
a lot of their start, 60% of their lineup is one and done.
Yeah,
that's the thing. This is John Shire's like career-defining year, and he will stay with Duke if he brings them a championship this year. Even if
what's funny?
And I don't think they'll make unless they start getting everybody and everybody. But to your point earlier, Sean, about NIL, it's more competitive now. So it's like it's not.
I don't know. They already got the booze. They already got the boozers. So
the boozers are
their next draft or incoming class is looking
recruiting
awesome.
class. Yeah,
Shire knows what he's doing. I'll give him that. But
and you know what? There was a story I saw actually today where Shire was like, I think he said he was like almost 90%, 95% about to go to DePaul when he was on Duke staff to go coach.
Wow.
But he, I guess, at the last minute, kind of maybe heard from a birdie that Krzyzewski's probably going to be gone in a couple of years. So he just was like, well, I'll just wait for the Duke job.
Yeah.
And that's because of his Chicago roots. So,
that's
or
true.
I guess Illinois roots. I don't know if it's Chicago, but yeah. But, Duke to me is it's just, boy, it's going to take them missing a bunch of shots. That's it. And if they get in foul trouble. And I know Houston has the guards to put pressure on those guys, but it's just, the thing, if Houston's guards were like 6'5", 6'6", the 3 guys that get to the scoring, I'd be like, maybe there's more of a chance. But they're the classic 6'2", 6'3".
Yeah, they're small guards.
Maybe 6'4". Yeah, they're just
combo guards.
And they're big guys. They do battle. I will say that. But Duke's big guys are just insane. And too, a lot of the times they're fresh.
Their guards are very physical, though. I will say that. Yeah. I feel like they are pretty physical.
They're going to have to muck it up. That's the only way Houston wins. They got to muck it up.
Yep.
They can't think they can go up and down with Duke because they're going to get blown out. They're going to have to make it physical, muck it up, maybe get a technical, fire up the crowd. Like, it's going to, and Duke's going to have to miss shots.
It took Caleb Love dropping 35 for a team to run and gun, and they still lost, with Arizona. Yeah. So, I mean, and even you could argue if Bama or BYU in either game, they both couldn't handle the defense of Duke.
This is definitely out of that Bama, BYU, Houston. Houston would be, I think, will produce the better game, but I think after the Baylor game, I was like, I think Duke's winning it, even though I didn't pick them.
Yeah.
I think after Baylor, I was like, I think this team is better than I thought. Because I was thinking, well, I need to see improve it. Because to me, it's like I've seen it before. Like they've always had, like they had Jason Tatum, Zion. They've had all these guys who were like thought of as being highly thought of prospects. They just never gelled in the regular season or in the postseason. And I think this speaks more to Cooper and his skill set because he's that kind of do-it-all forward that can bring the team together. Now, they do have guys on the outside who are really good too, but Cooper's skill set and his playmaking ability just is making the team, I don't want to say virtually unbeatable, but that's what it feels like. So if anybody wants to know probably how I'm leaning for a championship pick is, like in my bracket, which is funny, I did pick all in my ESPN bracket, I did pick 4 number one, or not my ESPN bracket, the CBS one I didn't care about. That was the 4 number one season. I had what do I have won it? Houston. So Houston versus Duke. That was before I saw Duke play. So I don't know.
So you got Duke.
I'm maybe rooting. I got Duke on this podcast. I'm just saying I picked Houston, but I got Duke winning. I just don't see anybody slowing up. Florida and Auburn. I mean, Auburn played them close, but again, that was like game 3 of the year. So it was like Duke didn't even know what team they had yet. So that's not, if Auburn would have played them maybe in the middle of the season, I'd be more confident. But I really don't think I think Auburn would give them a better matchup than Florida. Clayton's gonna have to, because we saw like the guards that are explosive, Duke gobbles them. So like, if something can tell me like
it's too big.
Caleb Love, yes, but I've told you before, Caleb Love's an exception because he's just a Duke killer. Like he's different. He did it in the years ago. Like he just got that DNA, but all the rest of the guards struggle.
I'm gonna stick with my gut, man. I picked Florida in my bracket. I'm gonna pick Florida to win it all. I hope they do.
Fair.
I mean, I know Duke's the best team, obviously. If I'm betting on it and it's Duke versus Florida, I'm taking Duke. But I just think Florida. I just think Florida has like the most. How else to put this other than like it would be the most exciting team to win. I think of all. Broom he's a big man. He's the typical. That's the typical. Auburn is the typical college basketball team. That's what Auburn is. They bank on their experience. They have the generational college big man, right? And Broom, skinnier guy, a couple guys that can shoot threes but aren't very consistent. They got a nice young point guard, right? It reminds me a little bit. Zhu, obviously, they went further. Reminds me a little bit of that Indiana team with Cody Zeller and Oladipo, and they had a freshman, Yogi Ferrell. Ferrell is a freshman.
Yogi Ferrell.
Very similar to Pettiford, impact-wise, not the same player.
Yeah.
But their downfall was the fact that they didn't have enough consistent wing scoring. I mean, give me Florida, man. That's all I'm saying.
Give me Florida. Okay, you can take Florida. You can take Florida. You pick Florida in your brackets. I feel real good about my Duke and my default bracket.
I don't blame you.
But I got to emphasize. I've told you about the trends. So this trend has been consistent for 20 years right now. Yeah. But out of the 4 remaining teams, right? Guess which teams still fit the trend? Guess which teams?
All 3 except Florida.
Wrong. No, not Florida, not Houston. Duke and Auburn fit the trend. So I'm going to have a little personal bias. I want my trend to continue for the next 20 years because that's what it is. That's what it is. Hopefully, I'm kind of rooting for an Auburn-Duke battle just to see. Just because selfishly, I want this trend to keep continuing to hold. And I don't know. There's something about this. I don't get it. But if this happens again for the 21st year in a row, there's something here, man. This trend is undefeated. Regardless of the outliers of 8 seeds winning it all to default number 1 seeds like Duke winning it all, it has been consistent for 20 years right now. And right now, like if it's Duke Auburn, default's going to happen again. But for me personally, Duke's the default pick, and they deserve to be the default pick just based on the number of pro talents on the team. But if like Florida's team, I remember at the beginning of the tournament, I was a little flabbergasted, but maybe they defeat the trend. I highly doubt it, but
I think any of these teams could win. I think that's the thing. I think it's just you have to.
I'll be shocked if Houston beats Duke. I'll be very.
I would be shocked.
That would be crazy.
And the thing is, they're playing extremely well, like extremely well. Like
I just think of the hot like Houston matches up with Duke. I think of all 4 teams. Like if you just said pick any game and face them off, I know Auburn played them pretty well. But right now, Houston might actually have the best chance just because of their rebounding and their big men down low, because that's how they dominate. Zhu, you mentioned the lobs, right? The lobs to their big man. Cooper Flag dominating in the post, right? Not relying on his mid-range, deep mid-range to the three-point line. He stays on the interior is when they win.
Yep.
And if you can limit any one of their guards, if you can limit Knuppel or you can limit Proctor for their three-point shooting, you can.
That's the key. Yeah.
You have everyone's focused on Flag and was it Malawak? I think is his name.
Yeah, Malawak.
Yeah, but if you can contain both or one of those two wing guys, you could be in a game if you're also playing relatively well. And I think Houston's defense is the best out of the other three.
That's a good point. I didn't think about because to your point, Cooper didn't have really a good shooting game last game, but if Knuppel, to my point where, and, Proctor and Knuppel, if the guards that they have are playing defense, it's going to limit their shot, creation and shot attempts. And maybe that keeps you in the game. It's just I won't be excited if I'm a Houston fan unless I'm going into half and it's 45 to 22 or something. Because even if Houston is up 10 at half, Duke has shown the games have been really close at halftime, and then they just blow you out. So I think I feel if you go into the half with a decent lead, and I say decent meaning double digit, then if I'm a Houston fan, I might be a little bit more excited because that means I can build on top of that. I can maybe take more threes. And to your point, also too, people, I think if their guards are giving their own defense and drawing fouls, there's a chance. But it also feels like if Houston were to win that game, it's going to be a knockdown, drag out, and that might affect them in the championship game because it just
that's good. Yeah, not gonna lie. And then, this is their championship game right now against Duke. Because I think after they do, they're we beat the best team already.
It's UNC and Duke. Remember that year when Caleb Love and all that? It was a knockdown, drag out the Paolo year, and then UNC thought they won the championship, and they forgot. We got to go play whoever the next game, and they tapped out. They didn't have enough. They didn't have enough ammo, so it's just, I don't know. It's going to be interesting because I'm with Zhu. Auburn, I kind of like their setup, and I'm picking them. But if Auburn does manage to get Houston, I would pick Auburn in that one because Houston will probably be dead tired.
I'll be shocked if that's the matchup. Auburn, Houston.
That would be shocking.
That would be very shocking to me. I'll be like, what? What?
Because it's two, the number one seeds, but that would be
probably to consider here. Which coach would you bet on?
They were actually all four really good coaches. Bruce Pearl, I don't know if you guys noticed, but Bruce Pearl, Todd Golden is his name. He suggested Florida to hire him. Florida was looking for a coach, and I think Todd Golden worked for Bruce Pearl as a video coordinator, I think.
Yep.
And he was like, you guys really need to go get Todd Golden. And Todd Golden came, I think he's from San Francisco, University of San Francisco. Mm-hmm. And then he came, and then now he's got Florida in the Final Four. So that's going to be actually interesting.
I'll take
subplot.
Samson.
But Simpson's a little bit of the wily veteran, and I might be biased because of just how that inbound play looked. It's just that was crafty.
I just think he can outcoach any of the other coaches. I know Shire is a good recruiter, but I want to see him. I want to see him get backed into a corner. He's obviously good at halftime adjustments. To you guys' point, he obviously adjusts that team. But if his team's down, I'd be interested to see how they'd react. Down, and when I mean down, I don't mean points. I mean they're just missing shots, they're out of rhythm, things like that. Because they could have a regression to the mean too. Let's be honest, they're due, but this is the strongest team in the country, man. So it might not come.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm Samson.
Yeah.
If I had to rank it, probably be Samson,
Pearl,
or Shire, Bixon match, and then Golden. But Golden's,
they're all great. They were there for a reason.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be interesting, though. I think the game I'm most interested in is Houston and Duke. There's no shade of Auburn or Florida, but I did actually watch them earlier this year just because they were not. When I say watch, I watched the highlights because I've been keeping up with Pettiford and some of the other guys on the team. But Houston Duke's going to be the matchup for me, and I might be in for a lot of pain and misery because I don't think it's going to be relatively a great game just based on how Duke's been playing. But it's the Final Four. People, like I said, this is the bigger moment. You're the bigger stage. I said, again, the backdrop, people shooting. It could be a closer game than we think. So, I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, for sure, bet the under. And I would say probably both of those games. because I just feel like nerves are going to play a part of the process. So we're going to see, man. Final Four is here. Got the 4 number 1 seeds. After that, college basketball is going to be a wrap. We're going to be rolling into the NBA playoffs. So, but you guys make sure you're on our pages, looking at all of our video content on Instagram, Tyson Talks _ YouTube, Quantron Knows, putting up videos weekly, getting people geared up for the playoffs, and obviously some March Madness layouts and things like that. So make sure you're following all those things. If you're on YouTube by chance, give us a thumbs up so we get into the algorithms. If you're on any of the audio mediums, give us a 5-star review so you guys can also get those audio adventures in your feed as well. And for me, Zhu, and Peebush, we are out.